back now with another episode of Uptown Films podcast, and I am so pleased to be interviewing Tatiana Tift. Tatiana Tift is a NYC-based writer, director, assistant director, and an art educator working across dance and narrative short films. Originally from New Jersey, Tatiana has a diverse background in the creative field, in both the visual and performing arts. She has a whimsical and fantastical approach to storytelling and has 3 award-winning short films, El Campo 2024, Dawn 2023, and Penny for Your Thoughts 2023 as well. She is currently in pre-production for her next short, which centers around the Harlem Renaissance and dance marathons. Since graduating from the School of Visual Arts, SVA, Tatiana has been traveling, freelancing, and teaching the visual arts to elementary and middle schoolers throughout the city. Welcome, Tatiana Tift.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So how are you doing in 2025? How do you feel about 2025?
It feels good. It feels pretty, on my end, pretty calm transition into the new year. So I can't complain. Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah.
Are you still saying Happy New Year? Like the whole Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David, like after 3 days, he doesn't say Happy New Year anymore. Are you still saying Happy New Year?
I'm still saying it. Yeah, I have a lot of students that I see throughout the week. And so I've been saying it for about 2 weeks now. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're here to talk about one of the films of yours that I saw recently, El Campo. I did see Dawn as well, but I wanted to talk about El Campo because your Dominican heritage, also I'm Dominican. I saw it twice. I saw it once alone and once with my parents, and we had a nice little discussion afterwards. So I want to dive into El Campo. Essentially, I'll read the description of it, and then we can talk more about it. So El Campo is an atmospheric and meditative short documentary displaying an intimate portrait of a farm located in the countryside of the Dominican Republic from dawn to dusk. Really emphasizing there dawn because that's one of your other shorts. Having been shot over the course of a week and edited to appear all in one day, this environmental documentary is meant for viewers to pause and immerse themselves in the vibrant sights and sounds of the Dominican Republic. So now that you just heard that, I want to ask, the audience just heard that, I want to ask, why did you choose to make El Campo? Why did you choose to make this documentary?
Yeah, I made it originally just for my family. This farm is owned by an extended family member, and I just went once. It was my first time traveling internationally, and it's my first time visiting DR, and we visited the farm for one day. And it's the farm where my grandfather had grown up, and I was like, I love it. I just want to film it, just in case it's no longer here in the future, and I just want to capture this moment as it is. So I went back, I think the following year, maybe it was the same year, and filmed. We stayed there my mom and I stayed there for 5 days, and we just filmed straight. So it was really originally for my family members only, but then I loved it so much, and I was like, well, let me just put it on the festival circuit and see what happens. Yeah.
Awesome. And where in DR was this?
This is Beitoa, is what it's called. So it's about like an hour-ish away from, I think, Santo Domingo, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
That's where my family's from, the capital. My dad was wondering, like, where in DR is this, and where are the kids? And my mom was like, "Where's the wife?" That woman didn't sound like she was like a wife. It was just a man working. It was like a bevy of questions. So now we know where it is. Could you pronounce it one more time?
Yeah, Beitoa. I believe it's Baito. Yeah.
Beitoa.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what was the approach to make like an atmospheric, meditative? When I saw it yesterday, and then the day before, I saw it during the morning, the first view, and it was very tranquil. I'm like, oh, this is really great. I can watch this with my tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I can watch it with my tea. And it was very it was very soothing, and so all of the different sounds, like from the rooster, which is synonymous, obviously with DR, and then the horses, and then the pigs, and then the chickens, and things of that nature. Like you just hear all of the noises, and the wind. There were so many different noises. So, what was your approach to create an atmospheric documentary?
Yeah, I had going in absolutely no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to film the landscape, and I actually did film the caretaker who we see in the film. His name's Feli, and I interviewed him as well. Like I did a very formal interview of his life. He's from Haiti, and but it didn't fit anywhere in the story, so I still have that separately. And I was just like, let me just let it be about the land essentially. And I filmed it. All the audio, I had lost all of the audio. I filmed it on like an
Oh my
H4n
God.
Pro. Yeah, so all the audio you hear is straight from the camera.
Oh my
Thank
God. I was going to say that it
goodness.
sounded like that, but I was like, whoa, oh
Yeah,
my God,
yeah, I had lost. I
no.
just wasn't even recording. I don't even know what was going on. It was like the fifth day, and I was just like, oh my god, everything I had filmed, it was on a wrong channel on the audio device, so I lost all of it. It was just so sad. His audio is on my phone, thank goodness. So,
Okay, great.
yes, so I still have that original audio, but everything comes straight from the camera. Yeah, so that sound wise, that's how it went. But yeah, to make it atmospheric, it just came with the environment, and editing later was kind of how I figured it was going to be more of an experimental approach to documentary. Yeah.
Is this something where we might see a later version with the interview involved,
I don't.
like included?
I have no idea. I don't. I don't know. Yeah, that's up to Philly if he wants that out there. His personal life. I kind of just did it for him.
Okay.
And it is a lot of broken Spanish, I feel like, as well, because I don't speak Spanish personally.
Oh,
So my
okay.
mom was there with me, helping me translate. So,
Is that Lisette Tift?
yeah, Lisette
Ah,
Tift,
okay.
yeah.
Great. I was going to say, I was like, in the credits. Okay, cool.
Yes, that's my mom. Yeah, she was there with me the whole time. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's up to him. I'm going to give it to him first, and he wants to keep it for himself. That's fine. Yeah.
So, in terms of going to DR, was this like your first time creating a work of art or film in DR? And if not, what was that experience like shooting in like the motherland, your homeland, so to speak?
It was really amazing. Yeah, it was my first time doing a production out there. The first time we went, we stayed on a resort in Puerto Plata, I believe.
Nice.
And yeah, and
Very nice.
I was like, I kind of want to like travel. Like, I want a vacation. Like, I kind of want to live among the people or whatever. So visited the farm, and I came back and I found out a little bit more about the history of our farm and our family there, and a lot of more information about my grandfather who grew up on that farm and how we're related to our cousins who even own the farm. So it was a lot of just meeting new family members who live in the DR still. So it was a really transformative time for my mom mostly. I feel like she got a lot of closure about where her father grew up. So yeah, it was really nice. Yeah.
Awesome. And what was it like going through with like the rough cuts and like screenings internally? Did you like screen it with your family before you were, and friends before you were ready to get it out there?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I really I just edited it. I had no idea I wanted to edit it, but I edited it in a way where each time period, each time of day, it starts out with an extreme wide shot, and then we get closer and closer to the animals, the plants, and then Philly working within the environment, and then we zoom back out again for each time of day, essentially. So I kind of put the storytelling within the editing, and I definitely showed it to my parents, and I was like, yeah, like it's so long and it's so quiet, so it's definitely something you play in the background, but I want it to be immersive when you're seeing it in theaters. So I just asked my parents mostly if they think I should cut this or keep this here. Is this too weird to have in here? But yeah, I kind of just edited the whole thing and just let whoever see it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, in terms of that approach, I got to dive right into the compositions. I like some of the compositions where Philippe is like cleaning his boots and like you only see a slither of him through like the gate. I really like how you decided to shoot through objects to like frame things, and just the composition in terms of like the rule of thirds and encompassing that with tree lines and just the landscape. I thought it was very well done. Like my dad at the end was saying like, "Oh, wanted to see more." Like there definitely should be more. And I'm like, "Oh, maybe she just cut some things out." But what was your approach to the composition of the film? Like first time, like did you scout the space? What was really your approach to decide like, hey, what's going to be the frame here? Because it really was. If you pause, when I watch a film, I like to pause it, and I can see like, oh, this is like a painting here, like man cleaning boot, or like man cutting with the knife, and man here at the desk and doing work. So definitely, I've really appreciated that. What was your approach with the composition?
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I had graduated SVA with cinematography concentration, and it was so hard. I wouldn't consider myself a cinematographer at all. I definitely feel like I was good that I have, some training in it. I got the eye for it, but I consider more a writer and a director or assistant director on that end. So I was just playing with the space. Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Every day I woke up. Philly started his day at 5 a.m. and I was up at 5 a.m. with him
Yeah.
as he tended with the bulls, as he was feeding the chickens. So every day I was just playing with foreground and background, and the house itself is green, which I thought was so beautiful. So I was just playing more with outdoor space. Yeah, and I was like, let me try to make this as interesting, visually pleasing as possible in the way that I see it. And I was just stalking him, basically. I was like, don't even worry about me. I was like, don't even worry about me. You don't even need to talk to me. Like, just, I'm going to be following you around. And he was like, okay.
So what was that like? Could you talk a little bit more about that? Because like documentary is so collaborative. Like you understand what you're doing. The other person's like, okay, all right, I'm just gonna go about my business.
Yeah. Also, once again, there's a language barrier. I don't speak Spanish. My mom was with me at 5 a.m. too, working out.
Wow.
We were just like, yeah, let's put on all this, layers that we have, because we're just like in the grass with him, and he's teaching us how to like peel the corn, and gathering the chickens and everything. Yeah, I mean, he was so okay with it. He kind of just was like, I was like, just do whatever you do on a regular basis, and we'll just be around, capturing it. So, and at night we would hang out, and he would cook the food that was literally just, killed on the farm. And it was good. It was great. It was just so nice. It was so quiet too. Where I had a challenge was I had no team around me. It was just my mom and me. And I'm so used to, I crave validation on set. I'm like, is this okay? Does this like shot look good? And everyone I was showing in the DR, I was like, yeah, look what I got today. And it's just like the sky. And they're like, yeah, that's good. It looks great. And I was like, well, because they see it every day, so it's not that exciting to them. So I was doubting myself that what I was capturing, was it even good? So yeah, I had a lot of trouble just like with reassurance, and
Got it.
what I was doing was good, and whether it would work for the documentary, because everyone around me was kind of just doesn't come from a filmmaking background, so they were just like, yeah, it looks good to me. I was like, okay, I'll trust that. Yeah.
Well, speaking on the language barrier, I liked how you encompassed or really included the like different times of the day and what was going on with like the title cards, or even just like the text on the screen. So amanece, dia, la torrenta, things of that nature, to tell the audience like maybe if they're not Spanish speaking, or even if they are, they can appreciate it and understand it. So, what was that intention behind that? Was it from your background to really, film is so communicative in different ways, different mediums, but what was that intention behind that?
Yeah, I kind of just wanted it to be like a chapter. I mean, we filmed over 5 days, and it's supposed to appear like it's all in one day. And I just wanted it to be bookmarked by chapters and the time of, just the entire day. And also I did it because it is for my family members, so who do only speak Spanish, a lot of them. So it was just a personal for them. And that's what also decided to translate just the entire film. There's little dialogue in the whole entire film, but
I like that.
yeah.
It took until like I think I wrote it down, 7 minutes, 13 seconds for the first like real bit of dialogue to come out.
Yeah.
Like watching it with my mom, she was like, we can comment on this. I'm like, no, just like, I like to remain, quiet in watching the film. So,
Yeah, exactly. No one was, and also that's true to the when I was filming. No one was really talking until everyone got up
Yeah.
in the afternoon. Everyone, as my cousins, were there as well. So yeah, it was really quiet.
Cool.
You're watching Uptown Films, so keep watching films Uptown.
Hey there, I'm Nicole Tay, and you're watching Uptown Films.
Hi, my name is Sean Senavrotny, and you are listening to the Uptown Films podcast.
Hi, this is Alvaro Franco, and keep making films Uptown, and please keep showing Uptown some love.
Hi, my name is Zayn Lindsay, and you're watching Uptown Films.
Hey, this is Christopher Hall. Thanks so much for listening to the Uptown Films podcast.
Okay, so I want to always ask filmmakers when they make something the why and the what, but essentially getting to the what did you learn in making this experimental, meditative, atmospheric documentary?
Yeah, I learned to trust myself without a crew, to just trust my vision, and that what I'm doing is it'll work out. And I did not know what it would look like. I had so much footage by the end of the entire trip. And a lot of it came, like I said, through editing. So my biggest lesson was to trust myself and to learn Spanish fast because
Yeah.
I want to head back so bad.
Oh,
To
when's the last
farm.
time you went?
For this film, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I guess in I don't know 2022 probably, and I still talk to Philly through WhatsApp. So, and he was like, when you come back, you know, you got to learn this language. I was like, no,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So that's what I've learned. You have to trust myself in filmmaking. Yeah.
Awesome. And how much footage did you accumulate?
Oh, I don't even know.
You were there. How many shooting days did you have?
5 days of shooting, and we shot a morning and during the day and at night.
So you would
every
start
single
at like 5 and you would end at what, just dusk? There's no light left?
Yeah, until there was literally no light. Yeah.
Got it,
On the
yeah.
entire farm. Yeah, and then I have a few inside shots that I captured last minute. But yeah, we didn't even leave. I don't even think we left the farm. Maybe like one day we left to go to the city, and that was it. But I really just wanted to stay in that area. Yeah.
Did that experience change you as a person? Because even like watching it, my mom in the first couple of minutes was like, "Could you live like that?" Because like she understands that she grew up in that environment and had been on El Campo and visited, but just like it just seems though different, so different to how we live now. Like, could you live that? I want to say not just agricultural, but like that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, I definitely want to experience. That's why I want to go back without the pressure of like I need to make something. I just want to be able to live and be a lot closer to nature. And I feel like living in New York. I'm on edge all the time. I feel
tell me.
like I am waking up and I'm like, I have my to-do list is already so long. And I just feel like the need to do something all the time. And so going to the DR, really all of that left the window. Like the priority was just to like find a meal for the day, like at least for me. And to talk with the neighbors, also living in the area and just to, I don't know, just be present, I guess. Yeah, I was just fascinated with thinking about how my grandfather grew up here and how he lived as well, finding out a little bit more about, about our relations to our giant family that we have. So yeah, I was just fascinated by it, and it was my first international trip basically, and I was like, and I was glad to know that I could do it, that I actually could travel somewhere. I was with my mom, but I was like, I can make travel like a thing that I can do. It was just not something I ever thought I could do. Yeah, it was just traveling. Yeah.
And how do you think this film made you maybe better as a filmmaker? We talked about what you learned, but how do you think making this film, shooting on your own, editing, it looks like mostly on your own. You had somebody doing color, but for the most part, doing it on your own. How do you think that helped you or helped make you become a better filmmaker, if possible?
I would say it helped me clarify what kind of filmmaker I am. I'm noticing maybe a little bit of a trend with my shorts, whereas everything is a little bit more slow paced. And someone described El Campo at a film festival as whimsical, which was not my approach. But I'm so glad that that was the case because I love fantasy, and I would love all of my pieces to have a very whimsical approach to them. So I feel like I have solidified a little bit more of like my vision as a filmmaker, even though it's a documentary and I don't even know anything about documentary. I'm definitely more of a narrative filmmaker. I definitely just feel like I have more of clarity on my vision, as a storyteller.
Looking back at El Campo and going into Dawn and Penny for Your Thoughts, which I did a web series in the past called Leaky Thoughts. So when reading your bio, I was like, oh, look at that. Do you think now as you're working on your next short, is this something where one of these projects could become a feature, or you're discovering where you could push the envelope, so to speak? Because watching El Campo for the second time, I'm like, oh, I would love to have seen some shots of like him like turning on the lamp and waking up, or like getting out of the door and like what have you. And those are some things I'm like, I wonder if she had thought about that and then maybe he said no, or trying to do some things, trying to push it, but it wasn't allowed, or just, because shooting in the rain, I was like, oh my God, she shot, and you're getting a lot of storm shots. That was very well done. I like that. Really want to ask, how do you think, it's two-parter, will one of these projects become a feature? And do you see how you can, in your past work, you're not only getting better, but like where you can push the envelope, so to speak?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking that. And I didn't push the envelope. I'm a very like I don't want to bother you type of filmmaker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
very much so. I was like, yeah, whatever you got to do, I'll do it. And then they were helping me a little bit. Philly and the neighbors nearby were like, oh, I think this would be a good shot if you like film this, or this is what I'm doing today. So if you want to like capture this, and they would help me with the cameras. When the storm had happened, that was so beautiful. When I was just, I don't even think it was planned. I mean, it was just, it rains all the time, I'm sure. But they helped me get my equipment underneath the space and just helped me point out some things around the farm that I probably I would have overlooked, or gathering the horse and be like, okay, well, just telling me when the horse would be a little bit nearby, or just like little tiny things like that. So I'm definitely not a risk taker when it comes to at least documentary filmmaking. I was just like, you do your thing, I'll capture what I can, I'll make it work. I don't want to be too intrusive. So yeah, but when it comes to a feature-length film for my past work, no, I think I'll just keep them where they are. I definitely want to build up my craft in storytelling short form first, before even thinking about a feature-length film. But then my next project is so thorough, and I'm taking a lot of risks with it. So I am pushing myself as a filmmaker and a lot of boundaries with my next short. So yes, I am planning to make that one a feature, maybe along the lines. That's just the scope of something. Making a feature is just it's just crazy. Yeah, it's just so much. Yeah,
I feel like it's inevitable though now. Like you make shorts, and then one of these, it's like the whiplash effect. Becomes a. Well, we're teasing what you're gonna, if you want to talk about your next short. And thank you for being so honest. There are like 3 or maybe 4 signature shots, a few signature shots in El Campo I want to like highlight in this interview. The shot of the horse like frolicking, I thought that was the fact that you captured that great, timing, amazing moment, and just showing, just again, juxtapose that with the shots of the dog always chained up. My mom was like, that's how it is. That dog, did you ever see that dog off the leash? No, that's how it is. That's the beautiful aspects of our culture and some of the not so beautiful aspects of our culture. So the horse frolicking juxtaposed with the dog always chained up. Well, you do see the dog at one point, have like, fun moment running around a little bit, even though it's chained up. And then obviously we have to talk about it. The chickens, like you want to, are you pescatarian? Do you eat meat?
I do eat meat. Yeah.
So how did you feel capturing that primal, yet, that's
Real.
that's what it is, that moment.
Yeah, with the horse, I forgot the horse's name. Oh, the horse is old. The horse is like 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, free range, like just around. I was by myself when that happened, and I was so scared to breathe. You have no idea. I was like, if I move, I'm gonna this horse is gonna run away. Like it was not. And a lot of moments where I was in the horse's domain, and I was just so scared. I was just like never been so close to a not wild horse, but to me, yeah, it was like, yeah, this is giving Spirit right now, the movie. I was just so scared to move. So yeah, I was so happy when I got that shot of the horse rolling around in the floor and just being so playful. And then later on, I found out that they do that because it's going to rain soon. And it did.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, because it's just so hot. I wanted to build up of the heat throughout the day. That's why I was just like, with the insects, the sound of the insects getting louder throughout the day, the horse trying to cool down with the dirt, all of that was built up through the storm that is coming to cool everything down. So that was the goal. And
That's amazing. You
Yeah, I
learned
was
that.
like-
I just learned that.
yeah, it was just so hot that ended up that was just preparation of the wildlife getting ready for some rain. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah. And what was the other one? Oh, the dog. Yeah, the dog. I forgot the dog's name too. I think it was like Ramon or something. Yeah, trained up the whole time, and I was like, this is so sad, but it's just a guard dog, and basically the friendliest guard dog ever. And we even went to the store and we bought him treats before we left. So I was like, I want to take you home with me, and I think that's in a very American mindset, obviously to like claim an animal is yours if you feel like it's like struggling. The dog's fine. It's just like there to exist and protect the space. But I wanted to take it home with me. But yeah, I bought him treats and a super friendly dog. But yeah, chained up the whole time. And the chickens, yeah. Yeah, the chickens,
Oh, the
I thought I couldn't stomach it. I was like, I don't even, which is I don't even know if it's ignorant. It's just like, you just don't really think about where your food is coming from in the States. It just appears right in front of you. And I didn't think I could watch him stab the chicken with the knife and then let it die so slowly on camera.
Dude, that was just so under up on the
was like-
ground. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
why don't you just do a quick decapitation or something? Like,
I didn't even ask him about it. And then like for him to just, I don't know, it was very unnerving.
plucking the feathers. He's like, all right, that's it.
Yeah. And like,
So you want to get a shot at me? And then that knife, I never saw him clean it. I'm kidding.
yeah. And you know what? We ate it.
Yeah, how was it?
It was really good.
That's so
And
much.
I was like, oh, this is so sad. I was like, the chickens. But I was like, Tati, relax. This is just life. Like, this is just how it is.
Oh, so you go by Tati.
Oh, yeah. Just
Okay.
my nickname, yeah. But Tatiana Tati, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I definitely was unnerving to see, but I stomached it. I was like, I don't know if I can like watch this, and like this chicken is just flapping and it's dying. There's a knife to stab through his mouth. I don't know. It was so dramatic, but it was
Did you
fun.
say why he did choose a slow way versus just like merciful? I feel like that is less merciful.
No, because the only other time I heard, my other cousin said that one time he shot it. He has a gun, yeah, and he shot the chicken from afar. And I'm like, well, now this seems like a sport. And then I thought that he was gonna do that as well, and I was like ready to see that, but then he chose this approach of just capturing it and whatever,
Got it.
and then stabbing it, and letting it go. I did not even ask him about it. I was just like, yeah, but I'm putting it in. I was like, I'm putting it in because this is so visually interesting as well to see. But yeah, we ate the chicken. It was really good.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I guess what has the response been like? We met at EO5, Yonkers Film Festival 2023. What has the response been for El Campo? And then we can talk about what's next for you.
Yeah, the response has been really great, actually, because I didn't know, when I was submitting to festivals, I wasn't sure if it was considered an environmental film. I was like, yeah, it's the environment, but I'm not sure. I'm not really talking about anything to do with, the climate. And I didn't submit it into a lot of festivals because I am aware that it's very slow-paced and it is very much experimental. I didn't even attach that word to the documentary at first. I just called it a documentary, an intimate portrait of like the DR. Then someone had said that it was pretty experimental, and I was like, yeah, I guess it is. So, the response has been great. People have come up to me afterwards and were like, wow, I felt really immersed and I felt so present. And I was like, that is so nice to hear, because I had no idea how it was being received. I mean, my extended family members loved it, but once again, they do see it often.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very much just landscapes. So hearing them be like, yeah, it's really nice, but you didn't talk about the family, or you didn't talk about this. And I'm like, that's true. I said, but I didn't want to. There was no place where like a formal interview needed to be had.
I agree. It's also up time.
Yeah.
How much do you want to pack in 20 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, let it just be about the land, and let it be about Philly, who takes care of it every single day. I was like, I just want to see him work and do his thing. So, the response has been great, though. I can't complain. I'm really more than happy that people have take time to be present in the moment. Because I feel like we're always on like fast-paced everything, reels and TikToks, and everything is like done in 6 seconds. So this is just like it even like forces me to like pay attention when I'm rewatching it. I'm like, my attention span is so short. So yeah, but it's been great, and I'm so thankful for it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I did notice, I did want to ask this. I noticed at the beginning you have shots that stay on screen longer. And then as we're getting toward the end or the second half of the film, I think this might have been after the storm, the shots are shorter. As we're like, you're seeing portraits inside, things of that nature. What was that approach to kind of like, was that meant to get us toward the end? Like, okay, here we are.
I think a little bit came with I actually didn't have that many shots for the nighttime because it just got so dark. There really wasn't any light, and I wasn't gonna put lights. I didn't bring any lights. First of all, I just had my camera, and I just changed the exposure and the ISO for like the inside shots. So I was never filming at night anyway. And a couple times, I don't even think we were around at night. I think we might have went into the city or like we were just eating. And my cousins didn't want to be on film anyway, like the other cousins. So it was just like mostly daytime shots. But I think it works because that's kind of how I felt being there. It was kind of just like, here's the morning, here's the entire day where it's just so hot. And then the nighttime just suddenly is there. And it's just, that's it. We're just like hanging out, talking, and every day is the same. So I would say the majority of the film is in the morning and majority of the film is during the day. And dusk happens very quickly. So it is the nighttime, if it's there at all, yeah. So that's kind of how I felt throughout the day.
And were you mostly shooting handheld? Because it looked that way in a sense of stable, but still like you could see allowing it to kind of flow a little bit.
I shot mostly on a tripod, yeah. Mostly on a tripod, and then maybe a couple times handheld, but I literally just like set up the tripod and walked away. And I was like, yeah, whatever it captures for most of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't, and I'd just like pick it up and run somewhere else and like
okay.
place it down. And like pick it up and run somewhere else and place it down. So yeah, I was mostly in a tripod. Probably the few handheld shots there are, but I just wanted it to be very much like, I guess theatrical in a sense, letting everything play, coming from a little bit of a theater background. I'm like, I just want to be there. Everything that happens in this window is what happens, and I'll just let it play out. Yeah.
Got it, yeah. Like there was a couple shots where it did look handheld, maybe at the beginning, I think, when Philippe is working with like the bulls and like kind of like walking to a section to get the chickens out. Maybe it was that moment. Certain moments, I'm like, oh wow, this looks very well done. But yeah, for the most part,
Yeah. Those are hard to capture, and a lot of it was just like me trying to stabilize the footage and editing because it was so shaky because I was trying to capture everything so quickly. I had no idea what he was going to do next. I didn't no idea like where he was going to walk to, what the animals were going to do. So a lot of it was just like me running and like the stabilization on the tripod was like the camera's leaning this way, so I'm like holding it with my hands, but it's still in a tripod, but I'm just like shaking and I'm like trying to make sure I capture everything and make sure it's like level. So but yeah, those are probably what you're seeing, the
Awesome.
shaky footage. Yeah.
because lastly, before we get into what's next for you, could you talk about your background as it pertains to making El Campo, and also just for that fact of going to DR to shoot this film? Could you talk a little bit more about your background and how maybe that played a part in making the film?
Yeah, so my mom is a Dominican, and my dad's here, and he's African American, and I always felt like I don't know. I mean, we are very much. I wouldn't say we're close to my mom's side of the family. I see all my cousins so much, but most of them live here. They live in the Heights, and they live in the Bronx, or they live in Rhode Island.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of my family members are here, but I just didn't know the rest of the family. And like I said, this was where my grandfather had grown up, and he lived in New Jersey since the 70s is when he had come here, I believe. And then they had lived in the Bronx for a little bit as well before moving to Jersey. And I just felt like never really attached to the Dominican side of myself. I mean, I don't speak the language, and I always had a language barrier, even talking to my grandparents too, even though they lived with us. I still felt like I couldn't communicate with them. So I just felt from a side of me and my identity that I just wanted to reconnect with and get to know more and force myself to be uncomfortable in a sense.
Right.
Because I was very uncomfortable with not knowing the language. I felt horrible. I still do. It's like a struggle. Excuse me. Even working with majority of my students too are migrants. So that is very hard for me to not feel like I can communicate with them as well. So it's a constant struggle. I was very intimidated going back. Going to the DR and filming that space without even knowing the language. And I went back to DR to visit another part of my family from my grandmother's side in Sabana de la Mar. And that was a whole different experience.
Samana,
In Samana. Beautiful, but different than the countryside of the DR. So it was just, it was a lot for I needed, for my own sake, it's for my own identity, I needed to be uncomfortable so it can push me to be closer to that side of my family,
Yeah, I definitely identify with a lot of that. I'm Dominican, full Dominican, but born here. So I do understand the language, am able to speak a little bit conversationally, but definitely want to take the time to learn more. And I also want to shoot eventually in DR a film that would include, both the Haitian and Dominican side. So Philippe is Haitian.
Yes,
And
he
he's a
is.
caretaker. So this home belongs to your family.
Yes,
Which
yes.
family member?
Belongs to my grandfather. So my grandfather grew up in the farm, and he left as soon as he turned 18.
Okay.
His history with the farm is both pleasant and unpleasant. I think as soon as he turned 18, he wanted to leave
Got it.
immediately. So the history at the farm is maybe not so great, and maybe great, but his cousins, his brothers and sisters, who are actually his cousins, or who he grew up around, and they own the farm. And we call them his sisters, but they're not. They're really his cousins. But he grew up with them, so they're really his sisters. And they live here in Connecticut now. But it's their farm, essentially. So he just was grown up there. I don't want to say anything that I'm like not saying the right history. Honestly, I'm forgetting, so I don't want to like say anything that's not true. But yeah, he was kind of just like dropped off there.
Got it.
To grow up with his cousins. So as soon as he turned 18, he left to the city. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I guess lastly, what's next for you? And also first, where can people watch El Campo? 'Cause you sent it to me on YouTube. Where else can people watch it?
I think it is just on YouTube. I don't think I put it on any streaming platforms. I'm trying to think. No, I believe just El Campo is on just YouTube for now. Yeah.
Got it.
That's where it is.
So people can watch it on Tatiana Tift YouTube channel.
Yeah. They can go to my Instagram, which is at Tati with 2 I's Summer. So TATII Summer. It's my middle name. And click the bio, and all my 3 short films are on there, and you could watch it there. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have El Campo, Dawn, and Penny for your thoughts.
Yes, those are the ones I take so much pride in.
Awesome. And this next short, number 4, if you want to tell us what's next for you or preview this?
Yeah. What's next is the log line and pitch is kind of a lot. So, but it's a historical drama. My producer actually described it as, it's kind of horror. It's kind of like horrific. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I guess it is kind of horror. But basically, it's a queer blues adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's poem Annabel Lee.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and the poem's about the death of a young woman. Their love was so strong that the angels in heaven envied them. And the narrator of the poem says that they killed her. The angels had killed her. They took her away from him. And Edgar Allan Poe, famously very gothic.
He's from the Bronx, too. Have you been to his house up in the Bronx?
No.
You got to check it out.
Should we go after this? Yeah. Oh my goodness. No. Yeah. Yes. So the poem is based off that. And my version of it is takes place in 1920s. Where 1920s? It did take place in Harlem. So when you had read my bio, but as I'm doing so much research about Black vaudeville and about Harlem in the 20s and the jazz age, I'm learning so much. So I don't want to place it in Harlem anymore. So essentially, it's about 2 main characters, McKenna Davis and Annabel Lee. One is a blues musician. She's a harmonica player in the 1920s. And another one is a burlesque performer. They're in love. They perform nightly at this nightclub in the States, and they hear about a dance marathon happening in their town, and they with a cash prize of $1,000. And McKenna Davis, the main character, wants to win it and go to Harlem, perform on the stages of Harlem. Wants to perform at the Cotton Club, perform. I'm not sure if maybe the Apollo Theater. Just wants to be big. A blues performer at that time period. Dance marathons, for those who don't know, there's a really great movie called They Shoot Horses, Don't They?, which they talk all about it. But they were endurance contests happening in 1920s and 1930s, really exploitation of the poor, but it was going on really heavy during the Great Depression. Human endurance contests where people had to stay in continuous motion for months on end. And you'd have lots of contestants. The bigger the city, the bigger the town, the more contestants you would have, and they would have to dance in continuous motion until everyone collapsed, until there was one couple standing. And it was like reality TV. Before there was reality TV, really horrific. There's lots of archival, photographs of this time period of people leaned over in really horrific positions, carrying their partner while they're resting. They would have like 15-minute breaks every hour, if that. So really interesting, rich time. They're banned in New York. It was banned in New York in 1932, I think. Yeah, that's where my characters are living. That is the time period that I'm taking them to. So they compete in this really gruesome dance marathon, and it doesn't end well because no spoilers, but it's in the poem. Annabelle Lee does die at the end, and McKenna Davis is overcome with this emotion and accusing God, heaven, angels of taking her from her. So yeah, there's lots going on. Supernatural, historical drama. Yeah. That's my next short film.
Oh, we look forward to seeing it, and I do hope we see a feature soon.
Yeah, same. Me too. Thank you.
You're welcome, and definitely I would plug to our listeners in terms of a resource, the Jerome Film Foundation grant, up to $30,000 in support for filmmakers. So, Tatiana Tift, thank you so much for joining us on Uptown Films Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.